controller, which is my students controller, which we have used at get students action method here, where you are actually getting all the college info, which is students, and you are actually getting the data for SAM, right? So I just executed it. You can see I'm getting data only for SAM, right? Now we have to see how to actually create new or edit, right, or delete or something. Now, so let's go back to view. So whatever auto-generated view we have, right? So let's say get generated. You can always edit them. Let's say you want the create, and you want to actually make edit and delete. Let's say, right? And let's say you are not going to do something on view because you are already using the complete row. Let's say, right? So let us see how we can actually implement the create new option and edit and delete here in current class. Right? So in your students class, now we know that if you want to create any new student, we can see this create new option is linked to some action name called create, which means we'll have to create a new action method using create automatically, which you have already done yesterday, right? Which you have already created, right? Which is actually get method attribute we are using, and create we have already tagged to the complete creation of your form. Now if I run this, right, go to students home here. So let me click on create new. Now when I create new, it will actually get all the variable names I have, including the editor to enter a new data. Right? So now, as of now, we have things ready. Now what we have to do, we have to do a post method for this create. Now when I click on this create, right, which means the submit will be triggered, which is my submit of value called create. Now in this submit button, you can see the value is create, which means the name of your button is created. I mean the label on your button will be create, where whenever you just post it, right, your create post method will be triggered here. Now when you go to student, you can see you have only get method of your create. Now let us create one more method, which is public action result, or create again, but which is HTTP post. Now we know that as of now you can see I can't have two different action. I can't have two methods with the same signature, right? So when I say same signature with the same number of arguments or no arguments, I'll have to actually make them different. But if I make them with a different name, right, then your trigger will not happen, because in a create we are actually looking to create a post action of the same action method. Now as we are going through action method of create, even the post method should be same, right? So in that situation, what you can do, you can actually change your maybe name of this method, like let's say create, maybe post create, right? And then I have to map this to create action, right? So you can use an attribute called action name with this name called create. Now what happens automatically whenever you post something using your create post, right? Now this method will be automatically triggered. Right? So now let's see what we can actually do in here. Now as soon as you click on create button over here, right, now you can see the complete model. Now already the model of this create is a student, right? Now as soon as you click on this, there are many ways how you can actually get the data to your post controller here. Now the first way is you can actually get them using some parameter. Now let me take a student here. Now before that, let me use MVC entity data, because we have a student object in there. We have a student, let me call it as S. Now here, what I'll be doing is, I have a student object here. Now I have to add it, right? So we have already created a class here, which is the college info. Here you can see, this is my college info model class. Now in here, let me create one more method called add students. Add student object. I'll take a student object here. So here, what I can do, I can take a college info DB context, which is my DB context, and I will say DB context dot students dot add after this, and the DB context. Save changes. Now here, what I'm doing, I'm actually using my entity framework integrated with my MVC, right? Now, as soon as I provide add student an object of student, right, it will actually add it to my database. Now this method, we can actually call it from student controller here, right, where you can pass this. Now let me create college info object is equal to college info, and let me call obj dot add student objects. Now this is something where you can actually do. And after that, what I'll do, I'll return to, so I'll just say redirect to action method. Now we'll go back to get students, because as soon as I add my new record of students, right, I'll actually get the students back. Now this is how we add. Now let's run this and see whether it is getting added or not. Now as of now, initially you can see there are few students here, few students which I've added. Even some for the data purpose, I've added more students, some 16 students here. So let's see how it looks. Click on student's home. Now this is your student's home. So as of now, you can see only Sam, right? So let's change the here. Now let's say this model, I want everything. Let's remove this condition of Sam. So let's say I want all the students details, not only Sam. Students over here. Now you can see everything, all the 16 things here. Now let me click on create. Now let me create a roll number for 17. So student name, let me do some name, right? Some address in here. Right, let's say PHP maybe. And phone number, let's use some phone number, and create data, let's do some create data. Now here you have filled your data. Let me click on create. When I click on create, see the data got added here. Now if you go back to your database and select the details, right now you can see your data. Right? With a simple post method we have, right, we are actually providing the complete set. When I say post create, which means it is actually mapping to the create method, create action method, right? So the main intention here is to post data. Now whenever I say post data, all your details in your here will be filled with your current object, and this object will be sent as an argument. Now when you are getting it as an argument, right? Then you can actually, once you get the data, then it's all in our hand to how to save it, right? So how we are saving, we are actually using my entity model, right? Using entity model, I'm actually saving the complete details of student, right? So this is how we create new data, right? Now let's see the edit part here, right? How we can actually edit data. So for edit, let's go to get students again. So we'll get students containing the edit part, right? And in edit, what we're doing, we are actually sending the ID. I mean the roll number of the record we are actually sending. But either you have to send roll number or few details of the record, right, to actually get which row or which record you are actually planning to edit. Fine. So you can see for edit, I want a edit controller. So let's create an edit controller in my students controller here. So let's create public action result of edit. Right. So this is your HTTP get. Now, when I say HTTP get, right, let's say return ID. When I say HTTP get, which means I'm actually planning just to map my record in here, right? Now let's say I know that from my from my action link here, I'm actually passing the ID as an argument. So I'll actually catch it here. Let's say I have an int ID, so I'll be getting this as a parameter in my URL. So I'll be getting this ID, right? So here what I'll do, so I'll be getting all data. Let's say where students clips, right, which I'll be getting from college info, right? So let me fill a college info, which is obj, and you have obj dot get students. Right, your college info, your get students will give you the complete list of students, right? Where I can take it in some variable here. Now here you can see when I select edit, right, how many students I want? I want one student, right? Because edit, when I say one student, which means one record, I can actually take and edit. I can't take two records directly and move it to edit, which means I want one student. So let's create a direct way that I want a student class. Let me say student. But see, your get students is giving a list of students, right? Now here, I mean, this will give you all the students. So from all the students, I want a student whose roll number is same as this ID, right? So let's get it. So in link, you have something called single, right? You have seen this part. Single will give you the first record, whatever your selection returns. So here, let's take R lambda operation R dot roll number is equal to your ID. This will give you the first row whose roll number is. Anyways, we know that when we provide this predicate, right, where roll number is equal to ID, whatever roll number we are giving, we know that we'll get only one row, and we are actually retrieving that row. Even if you get two or more, three rows, right, you'll get the first record for you. Now let me push first to object. Now this your edit is ready. But as of now, when you click on edit, right, this will not work until you add a view for that, right? So let's create a view. Right click on this edit, click add view. Now this time we are going to use create a strongly typed view again, but we'll use the same model class too, but we are going to change the template, scaffold template here. So let me use a student model class itself, but scaffold template will be edit. When I select edit, right, your complete view, whatever you are actually selecting, will be taken care with the student model class and all the fields you want. Click on add. Now you can see we have this ready. Now each and everything you can see you have a label for roll number, and you can see edit for. Edit for is it will give you a text box to edit a roll number if you want. Similarly for student name, for address, for phone number, right? You have an editor for everything, and then you can see you have a submit button where you have save value. And obviously when you click on submit, it will be posted to form, and in this form we will be creating the edit post option. We'll see that later, but let's see how this edit will be mapped. So in here, if you want to restrict something like create datetime, if you don't want to show, right, you can remove that part of code, and it will not be mapped anyways. Right? It's all in our hands. So it is loading the student data here. So click on students home. Here you have student data. Now let's say I want to edit this depart. Right? Click on edit. When I click on edit, see what happens here. Now see, we have edit, and then it is pushing 11 to your action method. As soon as you get 11 right, it will read the ID. Now here what we are doing, we are actually reading in my controller. I'm actually reading the ID and getting the students of that ID. Now similarly in the URL itself, let's say I'm going to change 12 here. See, it will get the details for 12. Now which means this is a completely URL driven where you are actually reading your parameter. If you remember, we have seen something called query string, where like question mark ID is equal to 12. In this way we have seen. See, even this will work. Let's say I'm going to give it as 1 maybe. Let's see, it will read this query string ID as 1 and it will get the details for the student. But normally in MVC, as we have an option of clean URL, right, you can actually give it in this way. So go to 11, you will see the report for it. Now this is something which is in complete edit mode for you. You can edit anything and save, right? But as of now, when you click on save, see, it will actually go to error page because you don't have a post mapping for the edit, right? So let's do that. Now here what we are trying to do is we are trying to edit a record whose ID is so and so, and where we are actually getting all the editings, we will be getting it from our form. So let's create a same method name edit, but with a different mapping called post. So here, let's say this edit, let's say I'm gonna change argument to student because I'll get all the student mapping from edit here, right? So here what I'll do, I'll finally return my action to get details again. As soon as I hit, I want to see things done. So I'll go to get details. Now before that, let's see how to edit your data, right? So I have my student here. I know which student I'll be getting, right? So I'll use my entity framework here. Let me create college DB context here. Now anyways, you can actually create a DB context directly here, or you can use your model class too, right? So let's say you want to do something on here, model class, right? Which is public void edit student, student, where you want a student object, actual student who you want to edit, right? So from controller, just call the college info object and say obj dot, let's say student objects. This will take care, right? So let's go to the method. Now here what we are going to do here is get the data, which is college DB context. Let me call it as DB context. So here I'm going to get all the students, right, to list. So where I'll actually get the student, let's say, let me call it as student equal to. So from this list, let's say I'm going to get a single where the r dot roll number, right, is equal to your s dot roll number. What is this? So I'm actually querying my database. I'm actually getting students, but from this list of students, I want only one record, right, whose data is same as roll number which I have. So this object I want to map it to S, let's say, right? Now either you can actually make each and every field edit, like phone number or roll number or student name is equal to your S dot, let's say, student name, or you can actually map, let's say, object directly, right? So let's see whether your direct object makes thing here. So once you change yours to, right, you're actually changing your details here. Then let's say db context dot save changes because your editing is done. Fine. Now let's run this. So let me go to students ratio, which will take me to index. So let's go to ABC here, which click on edit. And let's say I want to edit this ABC here. Let me put some name around here. So let's say I'm putting it as name. Click on save. When I click on save, so it didn't edit. So let me put a breakpoint here. When I click on save, we are actually trying to get S where you have changed student name to name. But when you actually make use of this, right, this referencing may not be happening here, right, with this tool. So what you can do here is, as said, whatever fields you are providing, let's change them. Stu dot, let's say, roll number. You don't need roll number now because roll number will be the same. Let's say student name, I want to make it as student name here. Similarly, I have what else do we have? Student name, address. Right, you have phone number. So you have create date time. Right? So let's not touch create date time. Let's say I even if a user changes it, I don't want to allow it. And then I'm saving changes. So let's run this. We go to student. So in this student, let's select the 11th one, which is ABC. So it will go to the edit model of level. Let me create one and click on save here. Now you can see the data changed. Right. So this is the modified data you have, and go back to the database. Now 11 you had ABC, right? Click on execute again. Now you can see. Right. In this way, you can edit your data, whatever you are actually. Right. Now let's see the next one, which is the delete part. Now delete part is again same, right? When you click on delete, right, now which means you are looking to delete a record, let's say, where I can actually create a direct post method for delete, and whenever I provide a roll number, right, it should delete my record, let's say, right? So let's see how to do that. So for now, you can see in my create method, which is in my get students, I have a delete, right, where I can actually select deletion to direct post, let's say. So I'm gonna use HTTP post, right, where I will do action result, where let me take the delete of second ID. I'm going to get it, right? So when I get an int ID, right, so I'll actually get things that, okay, I want to delete this. Now here, let's move to return to this redirect to action of get students as soon as I delete the data. Right, so here let me go to college info and create some other method for removing data, which is, let's say, delete student of, let's say I'm gonna get some roll number. Right, so here what I'll do, I'll create a college info. Feature is equal to the college info here, and then I'll call to be the delete student of your ID. Now this ID will actually give you the actual data. Okay, let me go here. Now you can see this is something which is using ID here. Now let me create a college DB context. And let's get again the student, right, whatever we are looking for, we delete it, right. From my DB context I'll get all the students and I'll make it to list dot, I want a single student which is with respect to the roll number I'm looking. I'll say r dot roll number is equal to roll, right, and from DB context, right, and students you want to remove an object of, so remove it and say student DB context of save changes. This will remove the actual student you are looking for. So let's go back to students. Let's put a breakpoint here if you want to see that, and let's run this. Okay. Let me go to students console directly. So here, let me select 15 students, click on delete. As soon as I delete, right, you can see you are not getting the option of delete, because here the edit option, right, as soon as you select, it is looking for get HTTP and not the post, right. But if you want to actually make it this option to post, right, you have to actually edit your delete to post, right. So which means the post method, whatever I created here for delete, right, need to be created as a form and then delete it directly. Let's see how to do that part, right? Because which means I have to edit my get students delete option for itself, so that I can actually make this direct edit, right? So let's see how we can actually do that. Start it again from, yeah. So we were talking about the post method of delete, right? And now here we are not taking any option to get it, because if you use the action link, right, it will actually look for a resource to receive. Now instead of using this, right, you can actually have a post method direct call. Now how you can actually post? I can actually use my begin form, right, where you can see I can say something called HTML dot begin form. Now this begin form will actually make sure that whatever action method in a controller calling, right, if you give any input type of submit, right, it will actually post. It will actually call the post method of that action method. Now first step will give action method, which is the delete. These are action method here, comma, and you can see you have to give controller name. Now my controller name is student, right? So let's do the actual accurate name here. Now you can pass some form methods or some values. Now as of now, whatever I have to pass, I have to pass the ID here, which is item dot roll number. Right, so this is my complete form I'm using actually. Right? And I use this. So my start and end of this HTML start and end here. right, where I'm going to submit data over here, which is now this form will be opening up. Now it says that whenever my form opens up and if I submit anything, it will directly go to delete action method in my control for student with this parameter. Now let's directly give an option of it, which is input. Let me take input of type submit, whichever we see is, and the value let's call it as and either make it call as delete. Now this is something which is a type button. So in a page it may occur as a button whose value will be deleted, and as soon as you click on this, right, it will actually trigger your form. And when your form gets triggered, right, your controller method will be called, which is delete with the post action. Now let's see how it works. Let me run this. So let's go to students directly here. Now let me refresh the data. So as of now, let's say you have these details. Let me delete the 10th or let's say 12th roll number. Okay. Now you can see you are getting anyways. So this delete you are getting because you actually left it as is. So let me delete the. I'm commenting the old one, which is calling a get method. So let me refresh this, and you have edit and delete. Fine. Now let me click on 12 delete row record. Click on delete. Now as soon as you delete, right, you can see now your post method of delete got triggered where your ID is 12. And when you run this, it will go back to the data. Now you can see your 12th record got deleted. Now let's go back and refresh. Now as of now you have 12th record. Let's refresh this. You can see 12th record. Now this is how we can actually map the complete objects, business objects of database directly into MVC, and you can actually control your data from the MVC objects directly using post and get methods, and same action names for getting the data and posting the data, mapping with your action attributes and all. Right. So this is about your action business model object mappings class, right? Because this is a helper class which we will be using for actually checking out. I mean, we have more. These are the topics which we have more to learn. We have HTML helper class to see how we can actually use HTML helper class to see multiple classes. We'll see text box control, label control, right? Radio button, checkbox. Everything is there in your HTML helper classes. And then we have to see what is a partial view, right? How to create a partial views and render it across different pages, right? And the next one you'll see how to create a layouts. Now layout is something which is like a master and child page, right? So similarly, we have master and child kind of stuff here, which is a layout part here, right? We'll see these three parts, and now these parts will actually cover most of the topics in in MVC, and we'll actually move on to WC after.